Hello, it's me. Welcome to this week's video. It's Lunasaw. Actually, it was Lunasaw the other day and yesterday. And I'm sitting by a fire while I'm looking at a full moon. I tried to film the moon, but I don't know if you know this or not, but it's super hard to film or photograph the moon because it appears to us as always much bigger than it ever does to a tiny little camera. So you'll have to trust me. The moon right now is fucking gorgeous. So is this fire. I'll show you. There we are. You can see me. And that last thing I just threw on there, that's mugwort. A friend of mine gave me some the other day. He's an organic gardener. I'm gonna actually film one of these videos from his garden sometime. He runs a community supported agriculture thing. It's really big. It was the first in Luxembourg, and he's got mugwort growing wildly everywhere. So, yeah, things are pretty wild in the world right now, huh? Like really wild. I'm gonna adjust the camera so you can see me. Or actually, so I can see you. Not very professional here today, but I think you guys are used to this. So, yeah. Oh, it's Lunasaw. Actually, kind of one of my favorite holidays. 1st of August. It is a commemoration of the death of Teotu. I'm not pronouncing that probably as good as Irish folk would want me to, but Teotu was the bringer of agriculture to humanity, according to Irish myth. She was the mother of Luke, actually. Luke, who is much older than many of the Irish myths. In Europe, you can see his name kind of everywhere. In fact, Lyon is Lugdunum, I believe. London is also named after Luke. There are all kinds of places that are named after him. And so the 1st of August being the official beginning of autumn. I know with the Gregorian Catholic calendar it's supposed to be, September 22nd or something. But here it kind of works. In fact, I told you all this before. I told my man's mother about, or he explained to her how I see the seasons. And she was like, actually, that's better. That's better. That makes sense. That's how it works here. And it's kind of true. In fact, today, my man noted that there are all these fallen leaves on the table on the balcony where we were eating. And he's like, yeah, right. Autumn has begun. I used to spend a lot of time by fires, by the way. When I was in Florida, I stayed with my sister. I'd stay here with her every winter for a few months, and then when I was traveling a lot, that was kind of my home base. After I had to leave Europe for a little while, I'd go stay with her and build fires at night in their backyard. Spend a lot of time thinking, dreaming, writing behind them. Interestingly, so the opposite time of the wheel of the year of Lunasaw is Imbolc, which is February 1st. And Bridget, is kind of known for being associated with hearth fires. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I like Lunasaw so much, because it feels like it's the counterpart to Imbolc. Everything finally begins, spring begins, life begins, the fires are lit again, and then, in autumn we start realizing, oh, yeah, things are gonna kind of die off for a little bit, and so we have to find a new way of living. Yeah, that's a metaphor for capitalism. You knew that was coming. Sorry. I hope you can see me in the shadow. But honestly, a fire's pretty cool too, right? Yeah, I was doing a video the other day for my Marxism course, and one of the things I bring up in my book is that capitalism capitalism is kind of doing the same sort of thing that happens in the story of Caradon and Taliesin, or Caradon and Guion. That story is always told as if Taliesin, the boy, is the hero, because of course, we humans like to think that, outwitting the gods is a great thing. But of course, in the story, he never actually outwits her. If you don't know the story, it's a woman who has two children. One is beautiful, one is ugly. She decides to try to help out the ugly one by giving him wisdom. But to give him wisdom, she has to travel up to these mountains where she talks to these alchemists called Ferids. And they tell her, oh, okay, well, here, build this, or brew this potion, but it's going to take you a year and a day. And she can't stir it the entire time, so she hires an old man and a young boy to help her. And on the last day of them stirring it, some drops supposedly fall out of the cauldron. It bubbles a little bit, and the boy supposedly, puts his finger to his hand where the drops fell, and suddenly he gets all of the wisdom, and suddenly is wise. Suddenly has all of this knowledge that was, brewed by a goddess to help her ugly child, and she becomes enraged. Or he decides she's enraged. It depends on how you look at the story. And he flees, and he changes into something to outrun her. But then she changes into something that can catch that thing. So he changes again, and she changes again. And they change into many forms like this, shape-shifting, him starting it, him shifting into something that can escape this witch, this goddess. And every single time this goddess takes a new form, takes the form that can kill the form that he's changed into. Until finally he hides as a grain in a bale of hay or in a barn, basically. And she becomes a hen and eats him. And he dies, but is transformed inside of her and reborn later. Now, when people tell that story, it's always like, oh, the boy, he's great. But Caradon is a goddess of wisdom, but also a goddess of death. And that story I've always found is very good for explaining what happens with capitalism. The capitalism is always trying to outrun its death. It's always trying to say, oh, no, I can survive this. I don't need to die. I'm not going to die. I can change into something else. And so it changes into something else, and then, death or nature or natural limits are always like, wait, no, look, your death is coming. And capitalism for the last 300 or 400 years has been outrunning its death. But eventually it can't outrun its death anymore. At some point, death will come for it. And then this system, this civilization, humanity will be transformed into something else. But what we are right now has to die. And so Imbolc being, as I said, the beginning of spring, the lights are coming. The Nosset is the reminder that, things die. Sorry about that loud motorcycle going by. And I think that's why I like it, because at the same time, right now all of the harvests start coming in climates like this. Everything starts being ready to eat. And it becomes ready to eat because the plants are starting to die, A great example, a tomato. A tomato produces fruit because it knows it's going to die at some point. And in fact, it puts all of its energy into producing that fruit and dies because of it. And then people eat tomatoes. And then those seeds get eaten and then get replanted, become a new thing. And without that death, those things would never be born. Without death, there can be no life. Yeah. So, that's what I'm thinking. I wish I could show you this moon. It's fantastic. But I'm looking at the moon, and I guess you get to see me looking at a moon next to a fire, which is still going, but it's still going. I hope hope things are well for you. I know the world is going really crazy right now. Even more so. But I'd like to remind you all that, you know, it's gonna die. You know, like the well, I guess we'll die too. But that's besides the point. We already know that, right? But you know, America and like civilization, capitalism, all of this is it's going away, and one of the reasons why the crises are so intense right now is because it's trying not to die. It's trying to stay around. I'm losing the light here. I don't want to be sitting doing this video, which means I'll end it in a moment here. But, you know, COVID and fascism and police brutality and all of this, these are increased signs that like the civilization is falling apart. It's increased signs that things are dying. Things die. This is a good thing. And we need not to be so scared of it. Because something new comes after. So, anyway, happy Lunasa to everyone. If you're in the southern hemisphere, happy Imbolc. We'll get there soon. Love you all, and thanks for your support.